paint me a picture, particularly when it comes to the role of the church, right, in your community around the Vaal.
Okay. I lebo hape e qadile ka 2011 ke santse ke le thetha mo e leng hore ho lata ntatomong as a source ya information a neng a tla ka yona, and then aba bontsha hore hona le baruti ba itseng ba baholo be ke nka ba bitsa ka mabitso he for now, but a bontsha hore baruti bano ha ba sebetse ka ka tsela e nepahetseng ka mantswe a mang.
The witchcraft. Just try and mix it for me, because we've got lots of people from other parts of the continent who also may want to follow. Just mix the English with me a little bit there. Okay. So you're saying there's witchcraft, because yes. You're saying there's witchcraft in the church.
Yes. Yeah, so for me, it was interesting, Horna. How should the church practice witchcraft? How should a man of God who is calling the name Jesus Christ, or who is doing things in the name of Jesus Christ, then that witchcraft?
Sure. In his ministry.
Yes, in the ministry.
How? But how exactly? Can you give me a sense? I mean, in which way? In a manner that he was conducting miracles or what? I mean, I'm trying to understand how witchcraft comes into the house of the Lord.
Well, the guy who is actually a source, is the one who said, no, look, these guys are practicing witchcraft. And suddenly, when he went on air, suddenly people started to come in, and people started to tell us their stories, their experiences.
So people approached you with the information from particular churches?
From the very same churches, some of them. And people also in the communities. Yes, across actually. Therefore, that is when this started to be interesting. And again, it was interesting because the very same people belong or they are practicing witchcraft. Are the very same people who are claiming to be helping people to get out of the witchcraft, so to speak.
Did they mention any particular people? Because this sounds too serious to be just generic. Why did you take a keen interest as a radio station then on this particular story? Who were they talking about?
For example, Ndatemboro was mentioned.
Ndatemboro?
Yes.
Okay.
Bishop Zondo was mentioned. Apostle Mukwena was mentioned.
So,
yes. So remember, in Ndatemboro, we were not the first people to talk about Ndatemboro in the media. Before that, there were some incidents or some cases that were reported in the media that he's actually a false prophet, so to speak. So we were not the first ones. So it's just that in our case, our story became much more stronger. Yes, and people started to be more interested to hear more about the story. Yes.
So at the end of it, you are saying basically these men of the cloth that are known as charismatic, particularly, right? It's not what we see. Is not the reality. They are in fact backed by witchcraft. Was that the allegation?
Well, that's what people said. The same people who experienced. I mean, for example, they started to say, we are dreaming a bishop sleeping with us. You know.
Say again.
Sure. You know. So and the experience of those women, they will tell you it's something happening, but you cannot. They couldn't explain.
Like an out of body experience.
Yes. Or sometimes they will tell you stories like they'll just be sitting like this. They see a bishop or the very same prophet coming just through the wall, and then he suddenly just sleeps with them. So it is something that one cannot understand. It will need you to understand the spiritual realm, so to speak. Yes.
And I mean, did you find that there was authenticity behind such stories? In other words, was it just one or two isolated incidents, or in your experience, there were enough incidents of this nature to raise a big question mark. And if that's the case, then why is it that nothing has happened about these priests? They continue to run huge churches with a huge following in the Vaal.
Okay, the source that I'm talking about gave Mr. Mukoto his name. After bringing this information, I researched. I said, okay, take me to all these people that you said they are saying all this. Then I spoke to those people and I interviewed them. I even went to Kwakwa, to the Mount of Swords, where he started everything. When I researched the story, I approached the local pastors to say, pastors, what do you think of this? And they told me, no. For example, they told me, no, Bishop has changed. People would think that he's still in the Onzale Poloso, but he's not.
Even as we speak, I mean, are these current stories? Is this fresh things? I know that you are no longer reporting on those because you are no longer on Theta FM. It's something that I want you to talk about a little later. Whether your removal from Theta FM had to do with in a sense, pressure from those prophets pressuring your station that they don't want these stories to be told.
Remember, well, I would say so that I've learned in my experience, I've learned that in the media, money is being used somehow. So hence I was expelled, and there was no reason, because this was in the public interest. I can tell you, my show had about 300,000 listenership, and during that time, that radio became #1 community radio nationally, and people came physically, so outside the studio, they packed their cars, they came there to come and witness what was going on or what was happening there at the station, to listen to what people were saying.
So some of the witnesses came to talk to you on your radio show?
Yes, some of the witnesses, and parents will bring even their young children, I mean kids. I remember one day this lady brought his child. He was 9 years old. And in the studio, it was so difficult, because this lady just came and said, this child have just changed. I don't know what's happening with this child. And right in the studio, Anruaka Mwana, Anruaka, and he was 9 years, he was 9 then. Anruaka, and he told me live on air to say, who are you? Who do you think you are? Are you here to expose us? And where do you think you're gonna go with this?
Did this sound like it was not that child speaking? In your view,
you could see it was not him, and the whole community was shocked, and they felt so they felt so pity for this lady to say, I mean, you see, so it's not like in a lane training
my goodness. And are you saying that these things are still current? In other words, these are not old, sort of fairy tales that happened long ago. Would you put your neck on the block that these practices that really sound evil, right, are still carrying on in these churches you've mentioned?
Today, radio station, radio station, it's a Catholic radio.
Okay.
It's a program on every Sunday at 12 o'clock. So what is even worse now? Only but in the very same churches, Malapabona Kalana.
Sure.
Rape cases.
Rape cases by who?
The very same bishops are implicated. So now,
but these people have reported those cases to the police?
Yes, they've reported the cases to the police, and there are case numbers.
How far is the investigation?
Yes.
But surely there must be intimidation. If you are going to report somebody like a bishop who's so powerful of rape, that must be very serious. What is your own understanding of how far those cases? I mean, are these cases that were reported like many moons ago, or are they some of them very current, or are they cold cases?
They are current ones. They are current ones.
Tell me more. Give me one example.
Okay. For example, in Twitter, it was in Mingenyetsi Kwahore, Toloko.
Who's Toloko?
Toloko, and I think Interpreter, yes, sir. Thank you. Interpreter. Onalemye Yitware. Masadu Wahai. Ore Bishop.
Which bishop?
Bishop Everton.
Oh, I know.
Yes, I know Everton. So Ore Bishop, the allegations say well here, but Ubuti Casey, Musadu Toloko. So as we speak, Toloko Haisale Yokireke.
The interpreter is no longer in the church.
Is no longer in the church.
Has left the church.
Has left the church, and the interpreter was a very close. He was very close to the bishop.
Yeah.
Very, very close.
Very close.
Very close.
Almost.
Yes, very close. And the spokesperson has also left the church. And
the spokesperson of the church.
The spokesperson of the church. And the interesting part is that during that time when we were running the story, the spokesperson who happened to be the presenter of another radio station, he was being used to actually counteract the program. And the same spokesperson left the church now.
All right, pause it there. We'll come back to it. More stories after the break, because you can also give us your own experiences. Maybe you disagree with that episode. Hashtag your view on 405. Of course, the WhatsApp line also on your screen if you want to talk to us about these things. Corruption in the church or horror stories. Can you believe this stuff is happening in the church? Let's take a break. Pitso Ramutubeli, otherwise known as Mabochobocho. My guest tonight was fired from Teta FM for talking. The place called Teta. Hopefully they were expecting people to talk. Yeah, they have big talk show, or the big talk show host there, and they of course sometimes the truth does have some consequences. But I hope you are carrying on the work of telling the truth. This thing is linked really to what's happening. I mean, if you look at what's happening in Port Elizabeth that Onkgopotse tried, you listen to Cheryl Zondi's testimony and you wonder, was this a brothel or a church? And it's linked really to the stories you are saying. You are telling me offset now that you're now having some of the elders of the church beginning to come out, which is something that's also being put as a question mark to say, when this Onkgopotse, for example, was doing these things that he's alleged to have done to the young girls, and 35 of them have come out to testify, where were the church elders? Where are the women of what is called in our church is called Mothers Union? Where are they? Where are the elders? Where are church councils when these things are happening? What's your own understanding? What are these elders telling you?
Naturally, what are elders from the church who are telling us what's happening in the church. They've been telling us shocking stories, of course shocking to the communities, because in community, some of them it's news for them. Yes. So now you have mentioned that Onkgopotse, the same way that Onkgopotse operate. That is the same way these churches operate. Yes. Specific
sure.
Yes, so operate to a so what I'm saying the rape cases tse bang teng ka hare ho dikereke.
So it's not one or two. Are you saying it's almost like a trend?
Yes, tse etsahalang. Remember the same churches tse re buang ka tsona, ho na le tse ding tse ntseng di etsala tse ntseng di mushrooma from other areas as well, operate in the same way.
Sure. In the Val particularly.
Not only in the Val,
even in other areas.
Not only in the Val, other areas as well. So ke ntho e leng hore e a etsahala almost hohle, but even the Bible ntse re buetsa hore ke dintho tse re tlo di bonang nakong ya pheletso,
the end of days.
Yes.
So you think we're approaching the end?
so
Sure.
ke believe Bible.
What are some of the shocking stories? Tell us one or two. What are some of the shocking stories that the elders are coming, that you are saying are coming as a surprise? Because what you are telling me and the way that you have gathered your own information, people approaching you, shouldn't be a surprise then in the communities. It means that there is a sense in which these things are hidden, number one, or it's a conspiracy of silence with a few people not wanting this priest to be. That's why I'm wondering if all what you are saying is true. Why are these guys still in charge of these churches? I mean, are they operating a cult system or what?
Okay, the question you asked, honorably, ke nahana hore these elders, it's shocking as to how they unfold or the operation in which people are being tricked in order for the pastors to get money. It's so interesting. Why? Because there are very much educated people in those churches. There are rich people in those churches. So it's interesting as to how they are being targeted in order for them to give money.
Again, targeted by the bishops. They go and target the rich people to be part of their congregations. Is that what you say?
Yes, they target the rich people.
Yeah.
To be in the church, and not only to be in the church, they are targeting their pockets. So they have their own way to actually dig into their pockets to pop out the money and for the bishop. So also it's interesting because it's not, that money is not for the church, it's for the bishop and his family.
Sure.
See? So it's interesting in that way.
Are you saying therefore there is no proper system of accounting for monies that are generated by the churches? Because those churches usually emphasize a lot of giving. They will stop, the church service and read a passage that talks about giving, so that everybody gives and there's packets of money floating around, right? But often it won't be the priest who gets the money, to be the church elders. They go to the back, they count this money, and so. Are you saying that in that process there is a setup where there's no accountability?
There are structures in the churches, but those structures, I would say they're not working. That's according to our researches, and that's according also. I mean, the very same elders that are coming through now, they are confirming that the structure is just there as a curtain, you see, but the bishop is controlling everything.
Sure.
He's controlling everything. The money comes into his account or personal account or whatever. He controls everything that says money. Now, you also mentioned an issue of cult or something. The church elders are saying that. They're saying it's cult. Whatever that is happening there, it's cult.
Yeah.
Because people are being cursed. They are being told that if they leave the church, God of the bishop will take everything that they have.
So they're intimidated to stay.
They're intimidated to stay.
Right. Crooks, prowling our churches. We've got almost run out of time now. I want us to just wrap up. What do you like to see happening? You have all this information. I assume that you have approached the police and the authorities and so on. What would you like to see happen?
No, actually, I would like to see men of God, true men of God, standing up in one voice against all these false prophets. But somehow their powers are limited because remember, people have, tried the rights of religion or something. But if pastors or men of God could stand together against this false prophets, then we would see the light. Yes, because people are suffering and they're losing, and
man, keep up the good work. I believe that some of what you say must happen, should eventually happen, if more and more people from these churches speak out. I suppose you continue that on your radio show to start to shine the light on this dark side of our if you like, our men of the cloth.
ke lebohe le community e ntseng e ntsieditse today, baetapele kaofela, even other pastors who are very supportive like me, Tate Mkoto as well, kaofela baetapele hoha.
Thank you so much, Mabochobocho there, who in fact have kindly agreed to come and talk to us here on your view. Just put the spotlight. You may know more of these stories. Please do not hesitate to contact us. Hashtag your view on 405. All right, we're going to have to leave it there for now, and then after the break, a round table with business women. And of course, at the top of the last hour, we also have another round table with communicators of government, women communicators, as we celebrate Women's Day coming up tomorrow. Let's take a break.